Somewhere on your feed right now, someone is twisting copper wire into a little spiral, pushing it into the soil, and promising you 100 to 300% bigger harvest. No fertilizer, no work, just a coil of copper wire. Sounds amazing, right? But there is not a single proper study behind it, and I'll be honest with you, part of me really wanted it to be true. So I had to test this one myself. Come closer, because today we're walking through 9 of the most viral garden gadgets out there, and I'm going to gently sort the flat-out scams from the ones that actually work. So let's start with number 1, that copper coil antenna. The pitch is beautiful. You wrap copper wire around a wooden stake, usually in a little Fibonacci spiral. Push it into your vegetable bed, and it supposedly pulls energy out of the air and feeds it straight to your plants. 100 to 300% more tomatoes, they say, and you can throw your fertilizer away. Here's what I found when I actually looked at one. It's a passive piece of wire. There's no battery, no power source, and no plausible way for it to collect and deliver anything to a root. And after all the hype, the number of peer-reviewed studies backing it up is exactly 0. Not a small number. 0. Now, people love to point at the old observation that plants grow better after a lightning storm, and that part is real. But the wire isn't what's doing it. What actually happens is that lightning turns nitrogen in the air into a form that dissolves in rain and feeds the soil. Your copper spiral can't do that. And I didn't just take the internet's word for it. I ran 2 of these copper coils in my own vegetable beds for a full season. Right next to 2 beds I simply composted and mulched, and the composted beds won easily. It honestly wasn't close. If you want that same lightning storm magic for almost nothing, compost, mulch, crop rotation, and a simple soil test will get you there for nothing to about $30. That's the whole trick. But at least electroculture is harmless. This next one, people spend real money hoping to protect their entire yard. Number 2 is the ultrasonic pest repeller, including those little solar stakes you push into the lawn to scare off moles, gophers, and bugs with sound you can't hear. And I get the appeal completely. Nobody wants to fight moles. The problem is physics. That high-frequency sound fades incredibly fast. It doesn't travel well through soil or walls, and the animals that stick around simply get used to it. This isn't a new suspicion either. The Federal Trade Commission sent warning letters to more than 60 sellers of these devices back in 2001, telling them to actually back up their claims. And a study in 2021 tested 9 different ultrasonic gadgets against ticks and found under 19.5% repellency. So the mole in your yard is genuinely unbothered. I had a set of solar stakes buzzing away in my own lawn one whole summer, and the moles tunneled right past them, sometimes within a foot of the stake. If you've got a mole or gopher problem, the honest fix is a good trap for around $15 to $25, plus getting rid of the grubs they're feeding on. Not as fun as a glowing stake, I know, but it works. Okay, so those first 2 are pretty clearly duds. This next one is trickier because part of it is actually useful and part of it is nonsense. Number 3, the 3-in-1 soil meter. You know the ones, that cheap probe with a dial that promises to read your moisture, your pH, and your light all at once. And I want to be fair here because one of those 3 things genuinely helps. The moisture needle is a decent rough check for wet versus dry, and honestly, if you're someone who tends to overwater and drown your plants with love, it can save you. But the pH reading is where it falls apart. Watch this. I can take the exact same pot and this same meter, and the pH number will swing several points in a single week just from the soil being wetter or drier. You can't calibrate it. It's basically guessing. So for around $15, you get 1 useful needle and 1 meaningless one. My honest advice: use your finger or a wooden skewer to check moisture, which costs you nothing. And if you truly need your pH, send a sample to a lab or your local extension office for about $15 to $30 and get a real answer. Speaking of things that don't quite do what the box says, let me show you one of the prettiest offenders on this whole list. Number 4 is the watering globe. Those gorgeous colored glass bulbs you fill up and push into the pot. The promise is that it waters your plant perfectly for up to 2 weeks while you're away. I love how they look. I really do. But watch what's actually happening inside that globe. It is not sensing anything. It is just simple AIR displacement. Water only leaves as air bubbles sneak back in, and the speed depends entirely on your soil. Watch what happens when I put one in a loose potting mix. By the next afternoon, it's completely empty. In heavy, dense soil, you get the opposite problem. The net clogs and barely any water comes out. And for a plant that likes to dry out between drinks, a globe slowly drowning the roots is a real risk. That 2-week claim? On a TV test, one globe emptied the very next day. If you want a genuine slow drip while you're on vacation, poke a few pinholes in a plastic bottle, or pop a terracotta spike into a recycled bottle. Both cost you basically nothing, and both work better. Now, this next one I actually feel a little tender about because I fell for it too, and it might be the most relatable thing on this whole list. Number 5 is free kitchen scrap plant food. Banana peel water for a potassium bloom boost, crushed eggshells to stop blossom end rot, coffee grounds to acidify the soil for your blueberries. I did all 3 for years, feeling very clever about it. So let me show you what I found when I actually checked the numbers. Banana peel water, when you test it, comes out around 50 to 200 parts per million of potassium. A store-bought liquid feed is 3,000 to 5,000. To match one tomato plant's needs for a season from peels alone, you'd be steeping something like 28 to 54 whole banana peels. That is a lot of smoothies. I actually sat down and did that math one evening, empty jars lined up on my counter, and just started laughing at myself. Eggshells are next. They really are mostly calcium, that part is true, but coarsely crushed shells can take 1 to 5 years to break down in the soil. So for this season, they do about as much as nothing. And here's the kinder truth. Blossom end rot usually isn't a calcium shortage in your soil at all. It's a watering and uptake problem, so piling on eggshells won't fix it. As for coffee grounds, they barely move your soil pH. Now please hear me on this, because I am not telling you to throw these away. In your compost pile, banana peels, eggshells, and coffee grounds are all wonderful. They're just not the miracle direct feeds the videos promise. Compost them, then feed with a balanced fertilizer or whatever your soil test says the garden actually wants. If any of this is saving you a little money or a little guilt, do me one favor and hit subscribe. I go through this kind of honest garden testing every single week. Okay, back to it. Because this next one is genuinely up for debate, and I'd rather tell you that honestly than pretend I know for sure. Number 6, water storing crystals, sometimes called hydrogel. You mix these little crystals into your soil and they swell up like jelly, and it is honestly mesmerizing to watch them drink up water and balloon in a bowl. The claim is that they hold 300 to 400 times their weight in water, that you can water far less, and that they last about 3 years. This one I want to be careful with, because it's contested, not flatly fake. The fair version is this. They really can open up little air pockets in compacted soil, which roots do appreciate. But the headline benefit, the watering less often part, is the shaky bit. The fertilizer salts in your soil sharply cut how much water these crystals can actually hold. And over time, the polymer breaks down, with nearly all of it depolymerizing within about 5 years, faster if you're fertilizing. That breakdown also releases a compound called acrylamide, which is honestly enough reason for me to stay cautious. So my take is a gentle one. If you want soil that holds water, plain old compost and mulch do it reliably, safely, and for a lot less. But if that one is a maybe, this next one is a flat no, and it might be the most photogenic scam on the internet. Number 7. Rainbow seeds. Rainbow roses, blue and black tomatoes, rainbow strawberries, all sold as seeds you can grow at home to look exactly like that jaw-dropping photo. I want you to look closely at those photos, because that is where the whole thing lives. No plant grows a rainbow of colors from a single seed. Those rainbow rose pictures are made by splitting a cut stem into different dyes, and roses and strawberries do not even come true from seed in the first place. The images are just recolored on a computer. And this is the sneaky part that really gets me. These seeds take 8 to 17 weeks to fruit, which is conveniently longer than most refund windows. So by the time you realize your rainbow strawberry is just a regular strawberry, if it sprouts at all, your money is long gone. Buy from a reputable seed house instead. And if you want real drama, grab an heirloom tomato mix or a living mutabilis rose, which actually does shift colors right there on the bush. That one is real, and it is lovely. Now I promised you I'd be fair, so let's flip it around because these next ones actually work. The only real crime is the price tag. Number 8 is a 2-for-1 Ollas and seed tape, and I genuinely like both. An Olla is an unglazed terracotta pot you bury in your bed and fill with water, and the science here is completely sound. The porous clay releases water slowly, straight into the soil as the roots pull on it. That's real, and it's a lovely, efficient way to water. Seed tape is just as legitimate. It's simply seeds spaced out and stuck to a strip of biodegradable paper, so you get perfect spacing with tiny, fiddly seeds. So why are they on this list? The markup. A fancy branded Olla can cost a small fortune when you can make one from a terracotta pot with the drainage hole plugged for under $5, and terracotta watering spikes run about 1/10 the price of a full Olla. Seed tape you can make at home with strips of toilet paper and a dab of flour paste for pennies. But I'll add something important. If you have arthritis or any trouble with your hands, store-bought seed tape and ready-made Ollas are absolutely worth it. That's not a rip-off. That's convenience you're choosing on purpose. Just know you can make it yourself for next to nothing. And that leaves the last one, which might be the most honest thing I say all video, because the truth is, I'm not entirely sure. Number 9 is copper tape for slugs. The idea is that a slug's slime reacts with copper and gives it a little unpleasant zap, so it won't cross the barrier around your pots. And I have to be straight with you, this one is genuinely contested. In jar tests and lab setups, wide copper tape in nice dry conditions really does deter somewhere around 80 to 90% of slugs. That part looks great on camera, and I'll admit, I taped up a few of my own pots, and for a couple of weeks I was thrilled with myself. But then a study from the Royal Horticultural Society, reported around 2023, tested it in a real messy garden and found no reduction in actual slug damage at all. Not from copper tape, and not from bark, eggshells, grit, or wool either. So it can genuinely work in a jar and completely fail in your flower bed. I'm telling you that because I would rather be honest than sell you certainty I don't have. What does reliably help is going out at night with a flashlight and picking them off, using iron phosphate slug pellets, and clearing away the damp hiding spots where they wait out the day. Not glamorous, but your hostas will thank you. So let's bring it home. The worst offenders today were the copper electroculture coils, the fake rainbow seeds, and those ultrasonic pest stakes, none of which can do the thing they promise. A few, like the Ollas and the seed tape, genuinely work. and you're just paying for something you could make yourself. And a whole bunch of them, the banana water, the eggshells, the crystals, are quietly replacing things you can already do for free. But here's the part I most want you to hear. If you've bought a few of these and your garden still struggled, that does not mean you have a black thumb. Almost none of these products are actually sold to help your plants. They're sold to soothe your worry about your plants. They promise a shortcut around a problem you either don't have or could fix for free. And gardening is slow, so by the time a gadget clearly hasn't worked, the refund window has closed, and you end up blaming yourself instead of the box. You are a better gardener than these ads want you to feel like. And none of this makes you gullible, by the way. These things are designed by people who are very, very good at their jobs. So tell me down in the comments, which one of these did you actually buy? I've bought at least 3 of them, and if you want, next week I'll show you how the real fixes are almost always free.